Hi, everyone. My name is Duncan, and I'm a librarian with Peace Library System. Today's session is going to be all about LibraryAware. And what LibraryAware is it is a graphics creator. So we use LibraryAware to create things like social media graphics. We create bookmarks with them, brochures, posters for our e-resources, among other things as well. LibraryAware also has a newsletter feature. So today I'll show you how we can create newsletters that we can send out to patrons who have subscribed to our newsletter list. Before we begin, I'm going to do a land acknowledgement. Peace Library System acknowledges that we are located on Treaty 8 territory of the Cree, Beaver, and Dene people and Region 6 of the Métis Nation of Alberta. We are grateful to live, work, and learn together on this land, which has been home to many First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples since time immemorial. We recognize this land as an act of reconciliation, and we also commit to supporting and celebrating our local Indigenous communities while working to break down institutional barriers to make our libraries equitable and accessible. All right, so let's learn about how we access LibraryAware. How do we get to the site? Well, there's a couple ways we can do that. We can either just type in libraryaware.com, and this will bring us to our login page. The other way is from our website. So this is the Peace Library System homepage, which is peacelibrarysystem.ab.ca. And if you go under Training Toolkit, under this Library Basics section, and we click Reader's Advisory and Programming, we have a couple links that are related to these topics. And one of them is LibraryAware. So we can click into that, and that will also bring us to our login page. Now, alternatively, on the website, if we go under Training Toolkit again, and we go to Marketing and Advocacy, we do have a LibraryAware manual that is linked on this page. So if you're curious to learn a little bit more about LibraryAware, or we didn't cover something that you were interested in, this manual should be able to help you out. All right, well, let's go to our login page. And for me, I'm logging in with my regular email. But for you, you're going to be logging in with your librarian email. So each one of our libraries, all 46 of them, has a LibraryAware account. And to log into that account, you're going to use your librarian@examplelibrary.ab.ca email. If you've forgotten the password for your LibraryAware account, you can enter that email and click Forgot Password. That will send you a reset link, and then you can log in from there. If that email does not work at all, contact me and I can double check in the back end to make sure that you are set up properly. So I'm going to hit log in, and this will bring us to our home page. Now, the home page is going to look pretty similar for every single library account. And like I mentioned, I'm going to click up here just to show you. Each library has their own account. So I can get access to all of them and I can see all of them, click into any one of them. Within each of these accounts, if you have other staff who want to be able to log into LibraryAware and create graphics, we can create multiple logins as well. So you let me know. There's different levels of permissions that we can give different staff. But if you want your LibraryAware account to be accessible to all your staff, or you only want it to be accessible to a select few, that is up to you. But you can let me know if you would like more logins added to your account. Now, today I'm going to be using the Paddle Prairie library account as my kind of walkthrough example. But this is the home page, right? And when we log in, we'll notice a few things. We have a navigation bar at the very top, and we'll get into a few of these reports later, or these different tabs later. We have a big search bar here, and this is to search for different graphics. We have new releases. So these are graphic templates that LibraryAware staff have made. Any items that we're currently working on that we've saved, more staff picks, and a trending now section as well. So a majority of what you're going to be doing in LibraryAware is taking pre-created graphics or pre-created templates and then editing them so that they reflect your own library. You're essentially customizing what has already been made. Now you can create stuff from scratch if you want to create a poster from scratch, or you want to create a graphic from scratch. That's not an issue. But the benefit of LibraryAware is that everything that they make, all the graphics, all the templates, are library themed, right? So it's really easy to come in here and select templates that are of interest to you, or select topical templates, like St. Patrick's Day is coming up, so they have all these St. Patrick's Day graphics, book awards, things like the Stonewall, and the Newbery Medal. The Last of Us is a big TV show right now, so they have graphics for recommended reads, similar to The Last of Us. But it makes it really easy. LibraryAware makes it really easy to come in, choose a few topical graphics, switch out the book covers, maybe change the title so that it says, these are available at Example Library, and then you can post that to your Facebook or Twitter. Okay, and I'll show you how we do all of that momentarily. But let's talk a little bit about organizing our graphics. So on our navigation bar, I just hit the folder button, and folders are how we organize everything. So every library will do this differently. For example, Paddle Prairie, we have 2 folders in here. We have one for promotional materials and one for reader's advisory. If I click into any one of them, it's going to show the graphics that I have created within that folder, and those will live there. Now, important to note, when you're creating folders, LibraryAware doesn't let you delete them. So once you create a folder in this section, it's going to live here until the end of time. So I would be, very aware of what you're creating and how many folders you're creating, because you can't delete them, right? And it could end up getting out of hand. So following something simple like this, like maybe you have a folder for Facebook, maybe you have a folder for brochures, maybe you have a folder for posters. However you want to organize it, you can. And when we click into a folder and we see all of our graphics, these we can delete, right? So if you're finished working on one, or one's not working for you, we can delete any of these graphics from our folder. And to do that, we're going to click the top right, those 3 little circles there. And this will bring up a screen where we can just hit delete. Easy enough. Okay. You'll also notice that some of them have these stars in the bottom. And when we fill them in, and you click on the star to fill it in, that's going to bring these graphics to your home page when you log in. So I've clicked on all of them just to show you. So I'm back on my home page, and when I go down to my starred items, now I have everything that has been starred. So this might be a way that you're organizing stuff too. Maybe your entire staff is working on one big brochure and you're starring it so that every time someone logs in, they see it front and center and they know exactly which brochure to work on. All right, but we'll go back into our folders. We'll go back into Reader's Advisory, and we're going to create a new graphic. We're going to create a graphic for Facebook to showcase books that you can get through the library or through TrackPack. So to do this, I'm going to click on Create Item. And this brings up a similar screen to our home screen. We have a search bar at the top, and then we have topical or current graphics that have to do with holidays and events that are happening right now. So like we said before, St. Patrick's Day, February 15th is National Flag Day, or National Flag of Canada Day, rather. And then they have some of these science fiction ones that are new. Okay. So if none of these are of interest to you, there are a couple ways that we can search for ones that might be. We can use the search bar, and this does keyword searching. So maybe I want to look for Halloween graphics because I'm prepping very far ahead. So I can type in Halloween. It's going to give me all of the Halloween themed graphics. So we have like Reader's Advisory, there's bookmark, some posters, and there's pages and pages and pages. Now, keep in mind that all of these graphics, or these graphic templates rather, we can edit them. So we can change out the text on these, we can change out the colors, the images, move stuff around. So whichever one you're selecting it with the intention to customize it. So for example, this crystal ball one, if you like this image, but you don't like the text so much, like maybe you want the text to say we're closed on Monday, we can go in and edit that text to say that. Now, if there's a graphic you want to see a little bit closer, but you don't want to start working on it quite yet, you're just going to hit this preview button and it'll expand the graphic, make it a little bit bigger. So this one is a bookmark. It shows us the front and the back of the bookmark and kind of the placeholder text that's on there right now. Okay, so that's one way to search for other graphics. Another way is to use the limiters on the left-hand side here. So these narrow down all the graphics. So right now there's over 8,000 available, but this will narrow them down based on these different categories. So the first one is format. So maybe if we're only looking for bookmarks, I would select bookmarks. We have all these different templates we can use. Same goes for things like brochures. If I want this trifold brochure, gives me a few different options I can work with, and et cetera, for all the other formats. There's also editor type, which we won't worry about. Collections, so this divides it into different collection types. So if you're looking for graphics for events and programming, or maybe you're doing more reader's advisory, you would select one of those. We also have organizations. So this is who has created the template. So you'll notice that we have LibraryAware, we have the Alberta Library, Peace Library System, and Paddle Prairie, which is the current account we're using. So this is useful to know because when I hit on Peace Library System, all of the brochures that we've made are now available as templates for you to edit. So this is when we send out those emails and we say, here are some new e-resource brochures. These can also be found in LibraryAware, where you can edit in your own library logo and contact information. So this is where you find those. So for example, if I wanted this Cloud Library brochure, because I have patrons asking about Cloud Library, I would come in here. Once I get into my graphic editor, I can then edit out the PLS logo and info and input my own local library, right? So you're getting all the same info, you're getting the content we've created, but it reflects your community. Okay, so that is good to know for organizations. And then the last limiter at the bottom is just audience. So like children, teen, adult, if you want to sort it that way. But let's pick one, like random one. And I'm going to use this bird watching example that I keep using. This one, birding books for teens. Looks good. Awesome. So when I'm ready, I'm going to hit create. This is the one I want to do. And this is going to bring me to my graphic editor screen, is what I'm calling it. Now, the first thing I'll do, and I'm going to do this because I keep forgetting to do this, is I'm going to hit save. Because what I want to do is I want to name my graphic and save it so that it is saved in my folder, so that if I exit out, a copy of it will exist there. So I'm going to type this as, today is February 7th. So I'm going to type in February 7th example. And I hit save. Okay, so we can, scroll up and down our graphic. It's very big. We can also use this zoom in, zoom out tool in the bottom right, and I can zoom in further if I need to edit some stuff in here, or I can zoom out a bit so I can see everything. You'll notice at the top of the graphic, we have these ruler lines. Okay, and that's just to help you evenly space things out, however you want to design your image. To get rid of those, you hit the gear button and you just hit that ruler tab and it'll remove them. This also gives you the option to add grid lines. So I just added grid lines and I'm going to zoom in a bit so you can see them. But this is another way that you can use measurement to align things and space things out properly. Okay. Now, I mentioned before, everything on here we are able to edit. So I can click on any of these different elements and move them around, even the backgrounds, right? The shapes that are used to make these funky backgrounds. But when we're moving things around, just because we're on the topic of keeping things aligned, there is another way that we can keep things right beside each other, I guess. When I click on an element, it's going to bring up this little bar up here, and I'm looking for the position button. And this is going to tell me where, based on the ruler and the grid lines, that this image or this element lives. So the top of this book cover, the King of Birds, lives on line 211. The left side of this book cover lives on line 395. Okay. So remember those numbers. If I move this up a little bit and I click it again and hit position, we'll notice now the top lives on line 195 and the left side lives on line 419. Okay. So if I wanted this title, Summer of Salt, to be aligned with the King of Birds at the top line, I would need to make sure that Summer of Salt has the same top line as the King of Birds, which is 195. So I'm going to hit 195, enter, and now they are both aligned. So it's not the most ideal way to structure everything, but there are a few options. We have the ruler, the grid lines, and that position button. Okay, so that's for the movement of elements on your graphic. Let's talk about text. So text, with the text that's already on there, we can remove it and add in our own. We can also change the font if we want. And the color, maybe I want it to be red. Okay. We can delete items too. So if you want to maybe clean things up a little bit, we can delete things. To add text, it's giving us 4 different text sizes to choose from. And it doesn't really matter which one you choose because we can edit the font and the font size once it's on the graphic. So if I just choose subheader size, for example, I'm going to click and drag, brings it over to my graphic. I'm going to type in what I want it to say, new, new, new. And then from here, I can edit the font, make it a little bit bigger if I want, and edit the color. Oh, you can't really see that. Yeah, it's a little bit better. All right, so that is how to manipulate text. Okay. Book covers and images. So underneath the text on the left-hand side, we have this image button, and this is where we can either, again, drag in this image tool where we can upload images of our own or choose from a whole selection of images that LibraryAware has, or we can add in book jackets. We can click and drag, and we can type in a book jacket and add that directly into our graphic. Now, before we add in any of that stuff, let's say that we like where everything is right now. Like, for example, delete that one. Let's say we like the way that these are all lined up, but these are not the books that we want to be showcasing on our graphic, right? It's important to make sure that whatever books you are advertising on your graphic actually exist and are available either at your library or through TrackPack. So for these, I would either have to change them all, or I would have to double check and make sure that all of these titles are available through TrackPack. It's also nice to double check that the book cover matches what is shown in TrackPack. Because as you know, for something like Harry Potter, there are like 50 different book covers, right? The front page can look completely different in different edition to different edition. So we want to make sure that whatever image is being used on our graphic matches what is on TrackPack. Okay. Now, if I want to change a few of these, like these are all bird themed, but maybe I want to make them Valentine's Day themed or something, or comic book themed. To change the book cover, instead of dragging over a new book cover, I'm just going to click on the image, and I'm going to click on this kind of cross arrow icon, swap image icon at the top here. And this brings up the image selector. And from the image selector, I want to hit book jackets. And this will let me search. Maybe I'm going to type in Batman. And then I can choose the book cover of the book I want to show. If the cover you've chosen does not fit the dimensions of the title that is currently on the graphic, it's going to ask you to adjust like this. This one looks like it fits perfectly, so we'll be good. But just keep in mind that if you're going from a very big, large cover, or a square cover rather, to a rectangle cover, it is going to ask you to adjust it. But that looks good, so I'm going to hit accept, and my book cover has been swapped out. Okay. So again, if you want to add another one, you would just drag over book jackets, type in what you're looking for, and the book jacket will appear there. And same for images. You can drag over an image. This brings up the image selector again. But this time it's giving you the option to search within LibraryAware's library of images. So if I type in the word sun, it's giving me everything that is tagged with the word sun. So we have some photographs and some graphics. Before I click on one, at the very bottom is where we would drag and drop our own computer images, or we would select an image from our computer using this button, and then we'll go into our drive and pick the image that we want to upload. But I'm just going to pick a sun. I'm going to pick this one. That looks good. I'm going to resize it a bit. And I'll put it right there. The last elements that we can add onto our graphic are shapes. And you'll notice that we've already clicked on a few shapes already, because shapes are how we made, or how the LibraryAware team made this background. Okay, so again, shapes can be dragged over. You can change the color, change the size, and put them wherever you want on your graphic. On the note of shapes is layering, because you'll notice that this square shape, when I click on it, it brings it to the front so that I can manipulate it how I want. And then when I click out of the box, it sends it right to the back. This blue shape, again, I can manipulate it, move it around. When I click out a box, it doesn't send it to the back, it sends it in front of the green, but not in front of my text elements, right? So we can think of the way that these different shapes are layering, like pages in a book. So the first layer, or the first page, or I guess it would be the first layer, the last layer, the last page. That makes more sense. Our last layer is this big green square. It's big green square shape. Okay. Our middle layer is the blue shape. And then our top layer is our text here that lives on top. Now, if I wanted, I don't know, maybe I want the blue to be sent all the way to the back. I'm going to click on the blue, which is currently in the middle, and then I'm going to select layer, and I can choose either move to front or move to back. If I move it to front and then click out of the graphic, we'll see that now the shape is covering all my text elements. If I want to move it all the way to the back, I'm going to click move to back. And now the layers go back layer, blue shape, middle layer, green shape, top layer is my text. If I want to put it back in the middle, this is where I have to play around a little bit and I have to do a little bit of mental math. So I can't, there's no move to middle button, or if I click move to front, it's just going to move it all the way to the front. So in order to get this blue shape back to the middle, I'm going to actually hit the green shape and send that one to the back. And then that way that positions the blue shape as the middle layer. So you can see it gets a little complex, and with the more layers you have, the more thinking you will have to do. But if you keep it really simple, or you just use one big image as your background, you're not going to run into any troubles. All right, so this is our graphic. I think it looks good, and we are ready to do something with it. So in LibraryAware, there is a really great feature that allows you to post graphics directly to Facebook or Twitter without having to download them first. It'll post on your behalf. So that is one way that we can export this graphic. To do that, we're going to click on this Publish To tool, and you're going to choose either Facebook, Twitter, or Pinterest. So I'm going to choose Facebook as my example. And then once you authorize your account, and I'll show you how we do that shortly, it's going to show your Facebook account. This post content is where you would type in a description. So maybe these are new books of the week. Type in new books of the week at example library. And then there will be a schedule button where you can schedule your post. So you can choose to send it immediately, or you can choose to schedule it ahead of time. Maybe if we're working on Valentine's Day stuff in anticipation of Valentine's Day week, then we can schedule it to, I don't know, post on February 14th at 2 o'clock, something like that. Okay, let me go back to my folder, back to my graphic. There we go. And I'm going to make sure I hit save too, just so I don't lose this. All right, before we get into the other way to export this, I'll show you how we authorize our social media accounts. So I'm just going to exit out of this temporarily. And in our top navigation bar, I'm going to hit admin. And under admin, we go to account management, social accounts. And so that has the option for Facebook and for Twitter. You would hit authorize, and this will bring up a screen where you log into your library's Facebook account and then authorize LibraryAware to post on your behalf. And then once we're back into our image, folders, back to our graphic, then when I click that Publish To button, it's going to let me schedule the post. It's not going to block me. But the other way to export this is to turn it into a PDF. And we do that by clicking the printer button. By clicking print, it automatically converts it into a PDF file. And then from here, there we go, there's our file. We can either choose to print it or we can choose to download it directly to our computer. Download, save. And now I have this image at my disposal. Okay, so this is really useful for posters too. If you just want to print out a bunch of posters that you've made, very easy to just automatically print it. All right, so I'm going to go back to our home page. And we're going to talk about newsletters. Now, newsletters are a really great way to connect with your patrons and create a community feel in the inbox, the email inbox. But before we get into creating a newsletter with LibraryAware, we need to talk a little bit about CASL. And CASL stands for the Canadian Anti-Spam Legislation, which protects consumers and businesses from the misuse of digital technology, including spam and other electronic threats. So what does this mean for us? This means that we cannot go into patron records on Polaris, record a bunch of emails, and then start sending out random newsletters to them, right? You can't do that. Before you can add an email to your newsletter list, you need permission. You need positive permission from your patrons. So you could do this in a number of ways. You could ask at checkout, hi, would you like to join our weekly newsletter that showcases new titles at the library? Can I add your email to it? If they say yes, that is permission. If they say no, you may not. It could also look like a clipboard, right? Maybe you have a clipboard at the front desk and you have a spot that says sign up for our newsletter, add your email, and patrons can add their email at their own free will. In newsletters too, it's also important to have the option to unsubscribe. And I'm going to show you a test newsletter. This is a test one that I sent myself a while ago. You can see it's not complete. There's still spaces to fill in books. But at the very bottom of our newsletters, there is a manage subscriptions or unsubscribe button. So patrons do have the ability to unsubscribe themselves. They do not have to come into the library or phone in and ask you to take them off. They can do it themselves. Okay, so that option is also there. But this is a good opportunity to show you what the newsletters look like. So this is what it looks like when it comes in the inbox. There's also the option to view it online. So this is what it looks like in a browser. It just kind of centers everything, makes it a little more presentable. But that's what they look like. It's you know, simple and sweet. So let's create one. So I'm clicking on the newsletters button on our top navigation bar, and this brings me to an overview page. But we need to go to this newsletter list page. Because you might have multiple newsletters, right? You might have a monthly one, you might have a weekly one. Maybe there's one for a book club that you send out every 2 weeks. I don't know, right? How you can have as many as you like. But each one of those newsletters is called a newsletter list. And within each of those newsletter lists, you have issues of your newsletter. So if Monthly Mysteries is one of my newsletter lists, we send it out once a month. Each one of those monthly sends is an issue. So we're creating 12 issues over the year for our Monthly Mystery newsletter. I just want to explain the language a little bit before we go any further. So newsletter lists, within those are issues. All right, let's create one from scratch. To create a new one, we're going to hit on this orange button, Create List. It's going to allow us to choose a name. I'm going to say Monthly Fiction. You can add a description if you like. It gives you the option to add different reading levels and newsletter list terms. This isn't super important unless you have like thousands or hundreds of newsletters going out and you want to organize them a little bit better. But if you only have one or two, not necessary. For these selections, you can choose include newsletter and opt-in page, and this list will not syndicate issues to other lists. You do not have to worry about the other options. And then before we click Save Changes, we're actually going to choose our newsletter template. So I'm going to hit this Customize List Layout, and this will give us a whole selection of templates we can use. So if you click on them, it'll give you a little preview. Maybe this is one that I like. You can choose to put your branding on. So the default is the PLS logo. But we can select none and it'll take it off. Or you can choose PLS logo, and then once we're in the newsletter editor, we can just swap it out with our own library's logo. But because we are working within the Paddle Prairie account, all of the contact information and anything about like address, phone number, things like that, that'll all automatically be what we have on file for Paddle Prairie. Okay, so whatever library you're logged into, that information will live at the bottom of your newsletter. It's just the branding that is preset to PLS. But other than that, you can choose what kind of font you want. If you don't like this font and you want maybe the Arial font and you don't like the color, so you want a different color swatch, and it'll change everything. And you can customize these as well. Either in the newsletter or you can create your own swatches, but we'll learn how to do that at another time. But once you're ready with your decision, you're going to hit select layout. That updates that, and then we're going to hit save changes. All right, and so it immediately brings us to our new newsletter, Monthly Fiction, and we don't have any issues in there, so there is nothing to view. But I'm going to go back to newsletter lists. And now we can see that Monthly Fiction has been added to our list of newsletters. Okay, so let's create an issue. I'm going to go to Monthly Fiction. I'm going to click on this green plus Create Issue button. And this will bring up a template of my newsletter where I can go in and edit everything for this particular issue. So this is very similar to our graphic editor. We can go in and edit text. We can add in different text. what I really like about this is that it makes it easy. You don't have to do a whole bunch of formatting and create your own design. Like, what a perfect newsletter. All I'm going to do is edit out the text so that it reflects my library and change out the book jackets. And they make it really easy because you just select on the gray book jacket and this change book button will appear. So you're going to hit change book, type in the title you are looking for. Once you found it, you're going to click use this book, and it automatically resizes the image so that it fits the cover. It adds a link so that it will actually automatically search within TrackPack, which is really cool. And then it'll even add a little description or review as placeholder text. So that's really nice. It's stuff that we don't have to add ourselves, and it really beefs up the newsletter, right? It makes it look really full and like it took a long time to make, when actually we're just swapping stuff out, which is good for us. All right, so I would go along and I'd fill in all my book titles, or I'd edit it however I want. If I want to put some events or something at the bottom, it's completely up to you what you use these for, but the option is there. I'm going to hit save. So maybe this is issue 1, I'm calling it, and hit save. And then when I'm ready to send it, I'm going to hit publish to, and it gives me 2 options. I can send a test email to myself, and it'll send just like that Paddle Prairie one I showed you a few minutes ago, or I can hit schedule email. And when I hit that, it's going to bring me to this page where I can choose whether I want to publish it immediately to my subscribers, or if I want to publish it in the future. So I would select my date and my time. I'm going to enter some email publication options. So what I want my subject line to say, who the reply address is, who it's from. I'm going to choose which subscribers within this particular newsletter list I'm choosing to send it to. So if you're sending it to all subscribers to the monthly fiction list, all subscribers is a fine choice to choose. If you only want to send it to certain subscribers, or subscribers since a certain date on this list, that's another way you can go. But I can't think of a situation where you would have to use this option. Or you also have this box where you can add in additional emails. But again, remember, if you don't have permission, do not add random patrons' emails into here. Only if you have permission from the patron can you do that. Okay, so once you've completed this portion and you're ready to send, you would hit scheduled send, and then it will send at the designated time you have chosen. So I'm going to go back to newsletter lists, and we'll talk a little bit about subscribers now, because we don't have any subscribers to any of these lists at the moment. So there's a couple different ways we can add. We can go to our list and hit view subscribers, and we can add from there. We can also go to subscribers on our top navigation bar here. Okay. And if we had any, we don't, but if we did, we would have a whole list of everyone who's been added to any one of our newsletter lists. Now, to add subscribers, we're going to hit this orange add button, and it gives us the option to add a single or by bulk. Bulk usually entails some sort of a metadata file that you have to insert. So to keep things simple, we're just going to keep it to single subscriber. You'd enter in their first name, their last name, their email address, any interest groups that they're in, which we don't really use these that much, so I would just avoid this section entirely. And then you're going to choose what newsletter list you're adding them to. So if you have multiple newsletters, like I have multiple examples listed here, but they only want to subscribe to monthly fiction, only choose monthly fiction, right? If they've chosen multiple, then you can add them to multiple newsletters. But again, that's another Castle thing, like only add them to what they're signing up for, right? Don't backdoor them into other newsletter lists that you've created, only what they've agreed to. And then you would hit save. And then when we go back to our active subscribers, their name would then be listed on here. Okay. So that is newsletters. A very brief and quick overview of how we create templates, edit them, and then send them out to subscribers. And so that is the majority of what we use LibraryAware for, or what a majority of our member libraries are using LibraryAware for. But since this is a session all about creating graphics and essentially social media content, I want to showcase another website that I think could be of great use to those who do not already know about it. And that is Canva. And Canva is a graphics creator, video creator, social media creator. We use it to create all sorts of stuff. So we use it for things like labels. We create social media graphics on it. A lot of our brochures are made in Canva before we transfer them over to LibraryAware. We also make instructional videos with Canva. So Canva, think of Canva as like the super advanced version of LibraryAware. Whereas LibraryAware is library specific and all of the graphics are around the library theme, Canva is open to everything. So you'll find templates in here that have to do with restaurants and retail and construction and like every industry on the planet. Pricing. So Canva, there is a free option, but there is also a paid version, and that is Canva Pro. We pay for one pro account for the consulting department. And as you can see, we use it a lot. We get a lot of good use out of it. I believe it's about $150. You might want to double check up in the plans and pricing section. But it is well worth it. And what it does is it gives you access to all their editing tools, all their graphics, all the software they're working on. Recently, they have a really cool tool that works sort of like a green screen where you can insert a photo and it'll remove the background, completely remove the background from whoever is standing in the photo, and then you can add in your own backgrounds. So just lots of really cool tools that you can use to create social media stuff. But if I came on here and I wanted to create something for Instagram, let's say, what I would do is I would go up to create a design. And it's giving me some suggestions of things I might want to create, like a Facebook post or an Instagram story, or maybe a flyer or a TikTok video. But I can also search in the top here. If I type in Instagram, it gives me a whole bunch of options, right? There's a Instagram post in the square format. There's an Instagram post video. Maybe I'm just looking to make a really cool profile picture for Instagram. So it sizes it for that. When I click on the choice that I've made, so I chose the Instagram post square, it brings you to an empty graphic. And you'll notice that the sizing is the exact size of what an Instagram post would be. If I chose a TikTok video, the sizing of this graphic would be the size of a TikTok. So it's like super customizable to whatever social media or internet software you are working with. So from here, I can start from scratch. And my left-hand side is where I insert different things like text and shapes and images. But before we get into that, I'll show you the templates that you can use. So if I'm not looking to be creative and I just want something really easy that I can change the text on, I'm just going to select my image or my graphic. I'm going to hit design on the left-hand side here. And I can type in the top bar like we were typing in closed on Monday templates. So if I type in closed, it gives you all these different options that you can choose from. So maybe I like this one. And then I can go in, I can delete different things. If I want to change the text, maybe closed on Monday, edit stuff around. So similar to LibraryAware, everything is customizable. Okay. And if I don't like this template or I get bored of it, I can come over here and choose another one. I also don't have to choose a template. I can go from scratch. I'm just going to delete all this. So I can use, if I hit on elements, I can search up different graphics to use. So maybe I want some suns. If I hit uploads, I can upload different images. If I hit text, I can add text. I can change the font and the color even. What's cool in the text section is they have these pre-made kind of funky texts. So if you're looking to do something a little out there, you can click on one of these and then type in what you want your text to say, which is really cool. Makes it kind of fun. But anyway, so there's all sorts of different options. I won't get into all of them. I'm trying to be fast. But once your graphic is ready, you're going to go up to your top right and hit share. You're going to hit download. And this is going to give you the option to choose what type of file it downloads as. So if you need it as a JPEG or a PNG, or if it's a poster and you want to download it as a PDF, if it's a video, you're going to do it as an MP4. If it's animated, you'll do it as a GIF, et cetera, et cetera. But I'm going to do it as a JPEG. And then I'm going to hit download, and it'll instantly download into my browser. And then from here, I can go to Instagram and upload it or use it wherever I want. And we're not closed on Monday, this upcoming Monday. If you're watching this and you think we are. It's February 7th today. We are not closed the following Monday. Anyway, that is Canva. So there's tons of other features. I'd love to go through all of them, but I won't. I'll show you one other thing, and that's just how we make videos on here. So this is our Lego Creations instructional video. And so what's really nice, at the bottom, you can see that it's all these different clips that we've added in. So this is one of me going through different items in the bin. But within each of these clips, we can edit them like an image. So I can go in and I can change anything on here. And then it'll revert right back to video mode. I find it easier to use than things like iMovie, to be quite honest. The only downside of making videos on Canva is that they don't have a very good audio editor. So from what I've seen and what I've used, because I use it quite frequently, there's no way to like record your voice into it. You have to add audio in another piece of software outside of Canva. So that's the only downside, but creating the video in Canva is definitely a positive. So yeah, that is another way that you can make graphics that is not LibraryAware. But I hope you learned something today, whether that's using LibraryAware or if I've opened your eyes to Canva. If you have any questions about anything that we did show today, and you'd like to learn more, or you run into any trouble, you can contact me at dlotoski@peacelibrarysystem.ab.ca. And I hope you all have lots of fun creating really cool things. Thanks, everyone. We'll see you at the next one.